What is good, everyone? It's me, Uncle Nabil. I'm back. We've got this show tighter than Hamza Chimaya's face lock this week on Nabil Knows. Tommy Robinson is in jail. I predicted that Tommy Robinson would start facing legal troubles, just like Anjem Chowdhury did. And surprise, surprise, here he is. Those of you who are Tommy Robinson supporters, before you put your Stella Artois down and begin to flame me in the comments, hear me out. These guys, you like Tommy Robinson, Anjem Chowdhury, Andrew Tate, even these guys are guys who control or influence large masses of angry, frustrated young men. Now, unlike Andrew, because he's not really based in any one country, people like Tommy and Anjem, for years have been pawns. They are sock puppets being controlled by sock puppets to point to other sock puppets to be angry with. And once you outlive your usefulness, bad things happen to you, okay? The retirement plan for these guys is never good. Now, Tommy Robinson's only looking at 18 months in prison, maybe that's it. He might slowly transition. Sorry. He might slowly move on to become like a writer and whatnot. But we've already seen him do that. Think about it, this guy has been around since I was thin. That's a long time. Tommy Robinson was around and he started off as the EDL leader, then he rebranded himself and he became this guy that worked with Muslim think tanks and really regretted all the things he said. And then at one point the EDL really hated this guy and they called him a grass. Remember the Tommy is a grass era. Then he's rebranded and gone back to his old self. It's like Mace. Murder Mace, then he became Mason Betha, then Murder Mace, then Pastor Mace, and now he's Mace with a podcast. Who knows? Maybe one day Tommy Robinson and Anjem Chowdhury will have their podcast like Ebony and Ivory go together like the... You know what I mean? His charity or his organization, or whatever the hell it's called, is registered under a different name, a terrorist group, so you can check where he's getting his funding. These guys will never, ever, ever truly care about their followers. Look, he's using you guys now. He's turning himself into a martyr so that when he comes out, he can use you to raise funds for something else. His next graph, he might go vegan. He might become a spiritual man like Russell Brand. These guys will always have grifts going on. That's all it is. And then eventually they'll fade out of sight. His retirement plan might be better than Anjem Chowdhury because when I say white, you say privilege. White. Privilege, It's still the same thing. These guys get chewed up and spat out and then someone else will come in. That's how it goes. That's how it's always been. It's a story since before humans recorded time. These guys are grifters. Tommy Robinson has said far worse things than any of his followers. How often has he faced jail time compared to his followers? Every now and then they might throw this guy in jail just to keep his street cred up. But hey, it's not really that serious. This guy has been kicked out of so many countries. Yeah, he can still travel. You guys need to wake up to the hustle. You're being pimped. Trust a Nigerian when I tell you you're being scammed. I mean, for God's sake, why are we still calling him Tommy Robinson? That's not even his real name. Insane. Tommy, if you're watching this, drop the soap. Drop it. Please. Can you imagine going to a Donald Trump rally and someone says something racist? The shock, the horror.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right.
Tony Hinchcliffe, the guy who's known for writing jokes that sound like they were written by that kid that sits at the back of the class. Childish, juvenile humor. When a comedian is more famous for roast battles than actually having a special. Again, not to criticize, there's room for every type of comedy. But it's not like it's the first time he's made these, remarks. This guy said that Puerto Rico was a floating island of garbage. I mean... Considering a large number of Puerto Ricans actually vote for Trump. But then one thing we see with Trump voters is they have selective hearing when these things happen. Just about every racist except for the Grand Wizard of the KKK has come out in support of Donald Trump. But you know what? I still prefer him to Kamala Harris. I don't know what it is.
I don't like where this is going.
You know what it is? I think Donald Trump is just tied in and tapped into the culture of so many people who would vote for him. His demographic. If you're a young man from the best generation, those of us who grew up between the 80s and the 90s, yes, Uncle Nabil is old, I know. But if you grew up, you watched WWE wrestling, listened to hip-hop, you watched all these TV shows, You grew up liking Donald Trump. You remember him with being with Muhammad Ali and being with Mike Tyson and being with Vince McMahon. You remember him being around 50 Cent. You kind of make excuses for Donald Trump. Like, isn't it mad how everybody is angry with the people who spoke at Donald Trump's events, from Rudy Giuliani to Tony Hinchcliffe? But nobody is really angry with Trump because he's just like that lovable guy that, yeah, that uncle, yeah, sure, he's a bit of a molester, but he's good on the barbecue.
I'm gonna come. Oh.
He went on Joe Rogan's podcast. Joe Rogan, by the way, this guy is so unprincipled. The same guy that thought that Donald Trump was a massive threat to democracy, 2 years later, has Donald Trump on his podcast. Like, hey, I guess everybody has a price. What was yours, Joe? Did he offer you some elk meat? Huh? Did he offer you some mushrooms? Donald Trump goes on Joe Rogan's podcast. He hints that there might be alien life on Mars. It's a shame we still haven't figured out if there's life in Peckham. But what's hilarious to me is he said all these things that had nothing to do with anything. But when Joe asked him for proof that he was robbed of the last election, he said he'll bring it some other time. That is the classic my dog ate my homework. Like, yeah, I've got lots of proof. Plenty of proof. I don't have the proof, but I'll bring you the proof. Kamala is still here talking about making collard greens in a bathtub.
And I am not lying to you that I would make so many greens that I'd need to wash them in the bathtub. I'm telling you the truth.
People try to make him out like he's this moron and what. No, the man's very intelligent. This is the most media-educated, media-trained politician in American history. This guy has been in music videos, podcasts, he's been in films, he's had his own TV show. You think this guy doesn't know how to manage an image? Going viral through McDonald's. McDonald's in and of itself is a big American icon. Kamala Harris has people twerking on stage, or Donald Trump is appearing at the most popular business in all of America that symbolizes American values and whatnot. Who do you think people are going to vote for? I'm not a betting man, but I think it's very clear who the smarter politician is between the two. That being said, you're going to get pretty much the same with both. Donald Trump claims that he'll do what he can to stop the conflict in the Middle East, which, to be honest, he's the only politician that's actually directly addressing that. Reparations. Now, this is something that has been spoken about across the globe. Haiti still pays money to France to compensate for having the audacity to want to be free. Oh yeah, well, I'm Irish, we got enslaved. Yes and no, because your descendants could grow up and become English. Your descendants could go to America and become white and enjoy all the trappings and the privilege that comes from being white. I don't benefit from slavery. Yes, you do, because countries that were enslaved or colonized, their resources to this day keep Europe and America alive. It's a lot like saying, oh, I don't want immigrants, I don't want migrants, I don't want refugees coming over here. But then continuing to create situations that send people, refugees and migrants, to your countries.
What?
You look at what's happening in East Africa, you look at what's happening in the UAE, you look at what's happening in Gaza right now. You're spending tax money buying weapons for people who are in turn bombing innocent women and children and destroying homes. But then you want to complain when those people end up in other countries. It's crazy. As recently as I think 2008, people like David Cameron were still receiving financial recuperation for the loss of slaves incurred by their ancestors. Think about how much money that England has spent arming countries around the world, particularly that one friendly nation in the Middle East right now. Think about how much money America has spent dropping bombs on countries around the world. If that money was in turn just paid back to countries that have been damaged through colonialism, through enslavement, a lot of these problems wouldn't exist. I also completely support the idea that foundational black Americans who descend from slavery also get reparations, because at the end of the day, victims of World War II were paid reparations, were they not? That wasn't that long ago. Slavery and colonialism were not that long ago. And we still see the damage that it does to this day. So I don't see what the problem is.
It's payback time.
An artisan cheesemaker got scammed out of £300,000 worth of cheese by someone who claimed to be a major distributor in France. Somebody came to you requiring £300,000 worth of cheese with no invoice, and you didn't think it smelled fishy? How are they going to find the cheese? Or do they have like a crack team of mice that they're going to just let loose in France? Apparently, the cheese is worth about the same in weight as gold. The guy in the newspaper said the process to create this cheese started decades ago in the grass that we fed the cows. We massage the cows. We love the cows. We make sure that they're happy. The cows have like little cow psychologists to ask them how they feel. So tell me, Rufus, how do you feel today? If you're the scammer, what are you going to do with the cheese? Like, will you melt it and then cut it with lower quality cheese and then sell it on like trucks? It's going to turn out to be a new TV series. Not Breaking Bad, Smelling Bad. And we're done. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming. As always, like, share, subscribe. Help us grow the channel. And also, big news. That's right. I am going on tour.
Nice.
For all the dates, details, tickets, go to my website. It's on sale right now. Come catch me, Urban Batuta, on tour. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in a venue near you.